Used car market grows to over 2 million transactions in Q3 as EVs enjoy record uptake. The fastest selling car does not go down 17.7%. The fastest selling car isn't reduced by £5,200 in a month. SMMT reveals strong Q3 for the used car market. Transactions rise for the 11th quarter in a row. EVs take highest ever market share, with 1 in 25 buyers making the switch. Now, is that electric vehicles or is that battery electric vehicles and hybrids? 1 in 25 buyers making the switch. Experts warn that e-cost changes could soon stifle demand. And this is car dealer Jack Williams on November the 10th, 2025. The used car market grew to over 2 million transactions in Q3, with second-hand EVs enjoying a record uptake. That is according to new data from the SMMT, which has reported 2,021,265 used car sales in the 3 months to the end of September. The result is up 2.8% on the same point last year and marks the best Q3 result for the sector since 2021. It's also the 11th consecutive quarter of growth, with experts hailing the healthy supply of stock coming from the new car market. The last few months they were saying because of the chip shortage, there was a shortage in new cars and therefore there's a shortage in used cars coming through. So which is it, boys? Yeah? What? Have you got like goldfish memories? Do you forget what you're saying? Do you forget the headlines that you're spouting, that you've written, that you've read? Well, obviously you do. Throughout the period, BEV uptake increased by 44.4% to 80,614 units, from 2 million and something, making it the fastest growing powertrain. The market's gone up. They sold 2,021,265 cars. The market is up 2.8% on the same point last year. We had a good year last year because it went up 5.5%, I think, as a whole. Battery electric vehicle uptake increased by 44.4%, so to 80,614 units. It's gone up 2.8%. So the market's gone up by 55,053. EVs have only sold 80,814 units, but the market's gone up. It's increased to 80,614 units. So divided by 144.4 equals times 100 equals. So it must have been 55,826 last year. So the market's gone up this year by pretty much the whole amount that EVs sold last year. The whole market's gone up by 55,053. EVs have gone up by 24,788. EVs have gone up 55% of the total, about 775 more than the others. So because it's a small percentage, it allows them to claim that they're the fastest growing powertrain. But I'll show you some other things in a minute which will make your hair curl, because that's the actual truth. It's the truth behind the growth of used EV sales, which again, I've showed you new EV sales are bull, used EV sales are even bigger. You see, the thing is, you can only sell a brand new car once. You can sell a used EV, the same used EV, time and time and time again. So stay tuned till the end. Throughout the period, BEV uptake increased by 44.4% to 80,614 units. It's the fastest growing powertrain. They also took home a record market share of 4%, as 1 in 25 buyers made the switch to all-electric motoring. Meanwhile, petrol remained the best-selling fuel type in the quarter, with transactions rising 1.9% to 1,145,148 units, as diesel fell 2.8% to 658,664 units. Overall, internal combustion engine vehicles accounted for 89.2% of all cars changing hands, a slight fall on this time last year. Sales of standard hybrid vehicles rose by 30% to 107,727 units, increasing market share to 5.3%, while plug-in hybrid transactions also grew by 2% to 23,480 units, comprising 1.2% of the market. The best-selling used car of the period was the Ford Fiesta, which they've stopped making, and that was on 78,062 transactions, with black proving the most popular used car colour. Again, despite the positivity, experts have warned that plans to scrap employee car ownership schemes, ECOS, could end up stifling supply. That's where they register new cars and the employee keeps it for like 3 months and then they stick it in the auction, thereby creating false statistics for new vehicles. Reacting to the findings, SMMT Chief Executive Mike Hawes said, with used EV uptake at a record high, a robust used car market is essential for fleet renewal and helps make electrified mobility more accessible for more motorists. Well, Mike, that's bullshit. You know it is, I know it is. If you studied the figures like I do and saw the amount of owners on used EVs, you'd know that the used figures are bullshit. However, overall consumer choice and affordability are at risk if the government scraps employee car ownership schemes. Well, no. No, they won't, because do you know what will happen? They'll just pre-register even more cars and sell them off even cheaper, because that's what they're doing now. Everybody that buys a new EV is on the employee car ownership scheme, getting 30% off. Everybody. That's what they want to scrap. They want to scrap both of those. They want to scrap the tax incentives. Let's just see how EVs fare then, when you take all those things away. And all these people that think they're going to have a cheap car in the future, once they get you to tipping point, there won't be any incentives anymore. And then you won't have the benefits, you'll just have the compromises of having to go on fast charge. When I was at the service station coming back from London the other week, guy parks up, puts the lead in, puts the card, and he's tapping like that and pressing buttons. Wouldn't charge. Sure enough, he had to move to the next one. And by the time he did that, I'd eaten me flipping KFC and gone. So when they say, "Oh, you've got to have a wee, you've got to stop for a wee or a cup of coffee," well, I did, and I had my cup of coffee before he plugged his EV in. So don't talk stupid. And you know what? I didn't even have to charge my vehicle, because I set off that morning, I went from Preston to Luton, from Luton to London, and from London back to Preston without having to stop to fill up. I just stopped for something to eat. So all your crap that you come up with, all your excuses are exactly that. Excuses. Just rubbish. Nobody believes them. You just make yourself look stupid by saying it. Well, I've got to have a stop. How big's your bladder? Let me say, how big's my bladder? I drove from Preston to Luton, picked my mate up, and then to London. So, you know, I do all right, thanks. Thanks for asking. Bit personal, but, you know, don't you worry about my bladder. You worry about your charging times, mate. However, overall consumer choice and affordability are at risk if the government scraps employee car ownership schemes, a move that would stifle supply of the very latest vehicles into the used market and cut exchequer revenue. Well, Mike, if you go on AutoTrader today, you will see cars that were registered this morning advertised with a massive discount second hand. So how do you work that out? What are you, chief executive? Come on, Mike, what are you? SMMT chief executive, Mike Hawes. Stifle supply of the very latest vehicles into the used market and cut exchequer revenue. Let's check, should we? Let's just check if that's true, Mike. Very latest cars. Should we check EVs? Yeah, we will. We'll check EVs. AutoTrader. Electric cars. Search. Latest. Relevance. We don't want relevance because it's garbage. Oh, and there we go. Look. I'll just cut the mileage down because we said the very latest. But there you go. You've got two cars there, both under fire blankets. Cupra Tavascan. That's 2025 with 1,100 miles on. Let's cut the miles down. Yeah, because employee schemes, they don't do very many miles, do they? It's a bit of a bonus. They can buy 3 a year or something for the families. It's just a big con. Up to 2025, up to 100 miles. The very latest, there you go, look at that. Free home charger, because prices have gone up on used EVs, they've gone up. But you can get, oh look, £750 off for a home car charger. That's done 10 miles, that one. A Cupra Tavascan, listed today, 10th of the 11th. We'll just go there and we'll have a look. There you go, £750 off. Read here. And it was registered 30th of the 9th. Yeah, it's not often you're right, Mike, but you're wrong again. Britain needs fiscal policy that promotes rather than prevents economic growth, social mobility and decarbonisation. What does the industry say? This should be good. This will be a cracker. I'm in the industry, you know what I say. The used market is firmly returning to normal. And if it wasn't for the lingering impact of the pandemic and the reduced supply of stock due to significant supply chain disruptions, I've no doubt it would be even further ahead. Mate, it wouldn't be further ahead. The only thing that would be further ahead is discounts, because that disruption slowed the car building down, slowed the sales down. Otherwise, all those vehicles that it slowed down would be on the market today, and residual values would be further in the toilet and round the U-bend. Over recent months, demand for used EVs has surged on AutoTrader, particularly for the more affordable 3 to 5 year old models. And those that are coming off leases, and leasing companies really need to give them a boost so that they make a little bit more money and lose a bit less. As we've seen consistently on the road to 2030, drivers respond very positively to incentives and have often shied away from EVs when things like energy prices have risen in the past years. Anything that puts up running costs may well risk the impressive and hard-earned momentum in consumer demand. Hard-earned momentum in consumer demand by giving them away, by discounting them so that they're cheaper than ICE cars, because if they weren't, everybody would buy an ICE car. Ian Plummer, AutoTrader's Chief Commercial Officer. Good news for the government. A difficult economic climate is keeping consumer confidence relatively subdued, which in turn is seeing buyers look for cheaper options in the used car market. So, Petrol cars are selling all right, but EVs aren't. That's down to the governments. This is helped by the influx of more diverse options among second-hand vehicles, which include an increasing pool of electric vehicles, EV stock, aided largely by Chinese brands increasing their market share with more affordable vehicles. The rising uptake of used EVs is good news for the government, which is looking to encourage the switch to electric ahead of the 2030 ban on the sale of new internal combustion engines. Well, that's this government. I will show my arse in Burton's window if this government are still in power then. Reform will be in and they'll scrap this stupid crap. However, with eyes on the upcoming budget amid rumours of a pence per mile tax scheme for EVs, it must tread carefully not to remove any incentives. So why should people with ICE vehicles pay 53 pence plus VAT fuel tax and EV drivers get away scot-free? The development of the required charging network remains crucial, and any taxes may provide more reason to stick to vehicles with internal combustion engines for the time being. The electric car grant has stimulated demand in the used market. It's made used cars cheaper because of the knock-on effect of the grant has made used ones even cheaper. We've seen impressive growth in the used car market during the first 3 quarters of 2025, helped by the significant price differential versus new for many of the most in-demand models and segments. Our own sales data shows a 52% increase in the number of vehicles sold in the third quarter of 2025 compared to the same period last year across internal combustion and electric powertrains combined. Why don't you tell us how many? Why use a percentage? Yeah, we know. While the government's electric car grant is only available for new EVs, it has nonetheless stimulated demand in the used market too. EVs accounted for 17.8% of all big motoring world sales in quarter 3, a period in which the group achieved record overall sales. What about profits? What about your profits? Record sales, the more EVs you sell, the more you lose. According to our sales data, the pace of EV adoption increased by 4% year on year in quarter 3 and by 16% compared with quarter 3 2023. We are already actively seeking greater volumes of used EV stock from our trade partners to ensure we can meet growing demand into quarter 1 next year, anticipating only a modest slowdown over the festive period. And that's Lawrence Vaughan, CEO at Big Motoring World. Big Motoring World AutoTrader. Let's have a look at the one in Leeds. They've got 917 cars. Let's just go for, let's see what fuel type they've got. Petrol 458, diesel 96, electric 89. So they've got 5 times more petrols than they have. 273 hybrids. 89 will knock off. Price low to high, so we want most recent, search, and then we'll go to the bottom of the page. At the bottom of the page there, in all fairness, looks like they are shifting them fairly quick, but you can't shift them fast enough. As you'll see here, 20th of the 8th, 2025, it's been reduced by £600. This one, 27th of the 8th, 2025, that's been reduced by 2,200. That one by £600. That one by 1,500, 300, 450, 500, 1,100. Yeah, that's a joke. Minus 200, minus 900, minus 500, minus 400, minus 700, minus 1,000, minus 5,200. Oh, Tesla Model Y. Tesla Model Y. Down 5,200. They first advertised it on the 11th of the 10th, 2025, and on the 7th of the 11th, it's been reduced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, down by 5,200. Tesla Model Y. Now, where have I seen that before? I've seen it in 2. Oh look, here we go. Used EVs selling at record speed with Tesla Model Y, hottest car this October. Tesla Model Y in the top spot. We'll just go down here. Tesla Model Y, 11 days to sell. Do you know why it takes 11 days to sell? Because if you've still got it after 11 days, you have to knock it down 5,200. But do you know something else? You know, I haven't just seen it in this fastest to sell. I've seen it somewhere else. Where else have I seen it? Oh, here we go. Top 10 used car price contraction for October. Tesla Model Y, down 17.7%. And do you know what? Do you know what doesn't happen? The fastest selling car does not go down 17.7%. The fastest selling car isn't reduced by £5,200 in a month. That one's Leeds. Should have a look at Cannock or Peterborough. We'll have a look at Big Motoring World Inc. They've got 846 cars. Fuel. 116 electrics. Yep, defaulted to another search I don't want. So we'll go to most recent. That way we can see all the recent stock. And then when we go to the bottom, we can see all the old stock. Minus 900, minus 1122, minus 300, minus 400, minus 1400. That's a joke. Minus 1,000, minus 300, minus 500, minus 900, minus 800, minus £3,900. Let's just have a look at, see what Teslas they've got. We've got 17 Teslas, we'll look at those. Go to the bottom. Model Y, minus 900. Another one, minus 900, minus 800, minus 400. But they're the fastest selling. They're the fastest selling cars. They're not, are they? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.